Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about transit Uranus making a square, opposition, or inconjunct aspect to one's natal Jupiter. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Uranus, they could be about freedom, independence, friendships, groups, clubs, organizations, disruptions, unanticipated events, and aspirations and goals. Now, when transit Uranus is basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Jupiter, now I'm going to elaborate on that. When I say basically adverse aspect, well, of course, squares and oppositions, they are adverse or negative aspects in astrology. Now, the inconjunct, though it's neutral, can have good and bad qualities too because it is neutral. And an inconjunct can often require an adjustment, a transition. And when you have that, that can cause some exasperation and tension. So I say basically collectively, this is an adverse aspect. Now, the thing about, and again, when you have a transit of Uranus basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Jupiter, well, it may manifest in freedom, independence, friendships, groups, clubs, organizations, disruptions, unanticipated events, aspirations and goals. Those things may conflict, could be with traveling abroad if you had a say if the natal Jupiter is in Capricorn, it might be some business trip or something that's career related, something that you might have planned and something that was premeditated for some time. Those things might be put on hold unexpectedly. It could be too. I mean, Jupiter is about expanding horizons and going outside the box. And the thing about it is, you might have, again, it could be some disruption in your life may conflict with this at this time. It might be an unanticipated event. It might be some goal or aspiration that maybe you're still could be currently working on or haven't completed yet, and you're torn maybe between ending that or going outside the box and trying something different. You might be wondering, well, is this goal or aspiration, what is this going to do for me as far as my future goes? Is this something realistic, as an example? And you may be trying to, might be torn between that and trying to do something different, such as, again, I mean, expanding horizons, going outside the box, basically, which is connected with Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is also associated with exuberance and enthusiasm. Considering Uranus is about our future, goals and aspirations, it could be where you might be lacking that, and maybe there's something about what you feel your future has at this time, maybe curtailing or doing something to limit your exuberance and enthusiasm. Maybe you're not overly enthused regarding where your future is at this time. It could be where friendships might be bringing this down a little bit in you and making you less jocular or jovial at this time. Maybe you're not so happy about activities with friendships at this time, with groups, clubs, or organizations at this point in time. Jupiter is also connected with optimism, and it could be where maybe your future at this time, to you at least in your perception, may not be something that you're as optimistic about as usual. It might be hard for you to have like really any express anything expansive in connection with this at this time. It may be where after there you might have certain fluctuations with optimism at this time. It might be a thing because Uranus is very erratic and sporadic energy, so this transit may manifest in fluctuations at this time. In terms of your optimism, you might be feeling rather optimistic one moment, and then the next moment it might be just the opposite. You might be a little bit more pessimistic. And the thing is too, Jupiter being associated with philosophy, another way this transit may be expressed in this, that could be that friends or people that are prominent, in groups, clubs, or organizations, they may conflict with your philosophy or outlook at this time. Some kind of belief you may have. It might even be a religion that you may be involved in at this time. If you're the natal Jupiter is in Aquarius, it might be some unorthodox unconventional belief or philosophy that maybe they're not into. It might be some belief in astrology, as an example, that maybe these people are not, coinciding. They're not quite in agreement with at this time. And now, anatomically speaking, Jupiter's connected with the hip, the liver, the pancreas, sciatic nerve, and also obesity. So it could be a time where there might be some fluctuations with weight, where maybe you might be overweight at one moment, and then the next moment you're back to like an average weight, and something could be going back and forth with this. Or if you're having any issues with anything else that I describe anatomically that's connected with Jupiter, such as something with the hip or sciatic nerve, there might be some fluctuation with the pain, or maybe there's some twitch or something going on in this area, where by the hip area, as an example. Uranus could be about twitches and intermittent pain. It can be something too where this transit as well, looking at Jupiter being associated with the law and the truth. Maybe it's harder to get the truth from friends at this time, or people that in groups, clubs, or organizations. Maybe there's people that are in Uranus vocations, such as astronomers or astrologers. Or it might even be people that on the internet, and you're trying to search for the truth on the internet. Maybe this is a time where you're having difficulty in doing so. Jupiter is also connected with extravagance, and it might be a time where you look at this. It might be that maybe friends are in disagreement, maybe with some kind of reckless spending you've done at this point in time. It might be something Uranus related, such as an electrical issue, or something with the computer or the internet. Maybe something where you wind up having to spend more money than you anticipated, which wound up making you had to spend a really exorbitant amount on one or more of these things which you really didn't anticipate. And again, Jupiter is connected with joviality and jocularity, so it can be a time too where the friendships may be bringing this down at this time, or there's some group that you're involved in. It could be an unanticipated event, or some disruption in your life might be bringing that energy down a little bit. And also, Jupiter is connected with the loss, so it may be a situation where you have to be careful your associates, your friends at this time, that there may be more of a propensity for these people to try to steer you from what's lawful, or these people may be involved in something unlawful, and it may be something where you have to really be careful regarding at this point in time, and the people that you may be acquainted with, and friendships maybe especially. So anyway, now another way this transit may manifest, friendships, again, they may want to reiterate what I said previously. Friendships may conflict with you expanding horizons at this time. Say if the natal Jupiter is in Aquarius, it could be something with meteorology, astrology, astronomy, innovation, computers, electronics, altruism as some examples. You may be experiencing disruptions that you may be experiencing may challenge perhaps long distance journeys at this time. Say if the natal Jupiter is in Pisces, as an example, it could be taking a voyage by sea on a boat. Also too, instability at this time may make it difficult for you to be overly humorous or jocular or jovial at this time. Say if the transit Uranus is in the 10th house, as an example, it might be some instability in your career, maybe something with the dominant parent, which is often the father. It might be that connection is unstable for whatever reasons. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now also too at this time, this is something where groups, clubs, or organizations, even friendships, they might adversely affect your enthusiasm and your exuberance at this time. Say if the transit Uranus is in the 12th house, it could be doing something, it could be some group or club that might be associated with photography or chemistry or the metaphysical, which includes astrology, maybe even doing something where you're doing prison work. I'm not saying you're people. I'm not talking about you being incarcerated or in prison. I'm saying like sometimes I believe they have people that volunteer maybe and do some work in a prison as an example, or hospital work at this time that can be connected with the 12th house as well. Now, anyway, it could also be at this time that people that you know on the internet, maybe they're averse to your philosophy or belief system, your opinion about something. Say if the natal Jupiter is in Taurus as an example, maybe there's some too down to earth philosophy and there's something, some belief that you've stubbornly stuck with, whether it's something that's accurate or that's valid or it's realistic or not. And it could also be, again, going back to the possible physical issues with this transit. Maybe there could be perhaps intermittent, which is Uranus. There could be pain or spasms or some twitch that might be in the hip or the thigh area at this time, or by the sciatic nerve as some examples. So anyway, people, that will conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.